Good morning. You're listening to WJLB 1230 AM and 104.7 FM. It is 6 a.m. in the region, folks, and it's day 2 of the morning call with Tom Dabertin. It's great to be here with you. And let's go right to traffic and weather. And traffic right now, actually, in northwest Indiana looks great. I-65, 8094. The toll road are all in good shape. Client Avenue still has construction, so be careful there. You go across the line. 294 looks great. The Bishop Ford actually is moving well. Until you get to about 111th, there's a slowdown, but it's relatively short. It clears up at 103rd. The Dan Ryan actually looks pretty decent this morning. It's usual back up around 35th. Otherwise, the expressways and highways in Chicago look pretty good this morning. So with that, let's go to weather.
So currently right now at the Shack and Van So Studios, it is 69 degrees. Today we are seeing highs of 80 degrees and lows of 61. Abundant sunshine this morning, followed by peaks of sunshine this afternoon and a couple of sprinkles later on. Tonight, clear, good viewing conditions for the lunar eclipse happening. That's exciting.
Wow. Yeah.
On Friday, highs of 80 degrees, lows of 61, mostly sunny, partly cloudy in the nighttime. Saturday, highs of 82 degrees, lows of 66, times of clouds and sun, becoming partly cloudy. And we're keeping these conditions up until later on into the week on Thursday.
Wow. So getting warm again. Pretty peaceful, not a lot of rain. We didn't get the rain that they predicted yesterday. Paul Goddard and others got it right. It went south of us, so no rain. Have to sprinkle the flowers in the lawns, but otherwise no damaging storms, which was great news. This is an area that kind of needs some relief from it. There is an air show down at Grissom Air Force Base this weekend. I mentioned it yesterday, and somebody texted me and said, could you bring it up again? It is a Grissom Air Force Base, which is right between Kokomo and Peru. Indiana. So about an hour and a half away, and I'm going to go down to it this weekend, so it should be a good time. 845-1100 is the number to call. Yesterday, we spent a lot of time talking about two issues. We talked about NIPSCO. And what we didn't know in the conversation was that NIPSCO, in the height of all of the problems that they had, tried to push through 3 additional increases. And this brings up a great question. Why are we paying for increases when they have such incompetency? They are the most incompetent company that I know of anywhere in this region. They can't get their act right when it comes to planned obsolescence, when it comes to replacing and preventative maintenance on their system. So glad to talk about NIPSCO again. And then just an update on the situation with the Postal Service and the theft of mail. And I'm one of those victims. As I said yesterday, I lost over $8,000 in checks that I wrote and waiting for the bank to restore those dollars. But I did speak to an individual. His first name is Nick. He was a contact that Paul Goddard shared with me. He's the regional spokesperson for the Postal Inspector Service. He's very nice, but once again told me that the Postal Inspector Service basically can't investigate because of a law passed by the Clinton administration that says that if the thefts are occurring internally, it has to be handled by the Office of Inspector General, and the OIG has an amazing number of law enforcement personnel, 300 for the entire nation, which is about 6 per state, and there are 600,000 postal workers. So you talk about the odds of ever getting caught in stealing mail if you're on the inside, they're pretty low. You'll probably never get caught. It just adds to the aggravation. I did call the U.S. Attorney's Office yesterday. In fact, Nick suggested that I contact the U.S. Attorney's Office, given the fact that it's pretty clear that there have been hundreds of thousands of dollars that have been stolen from the mail at the Whiting Post Office. And I contacted them twice. I spoke to one person who said she'd pass on the message because she somehow picked up the phone by accident and then left another message. So I don't know where our U.S. Attorney's Office is. The fact that now I've left 8 messages for the U.S. Attorney's Office and their investigative division. When you call, it says, leave your name and number. We'll contact you immediately. Well, immediate isn't immediate with the U.S. Attorney's Office. There's got to be somebody out there that's listening to this program this morning that knows someone at the U.S. Attorney's Office and might say, hey, that Dabertin is really, really going off on you guys. By the way, I should apologize. Gary Bell is no longer with the U.S. Attorney's Office in Hammond. He's a good guy. He's no longer there. He's moved on. I called him Randy yesterday by accident, but he is not there. So maybe that's part of the problem, that they don't have some of the dedicated personnel that they had. But it's bothersome, folks, because once again, you've got hundreds of thousands of dollars that have been stolen based on the postings that people have put on Facebook and conversations that I've had with people in the last week or so. And nobody cares. Nobody wants to do a damn thing about it. They don't care, which is pretty amazing. I also had some interesting experience when I had to transfer. I'm having to transfer all of my auto pay accounts. So I had to contact NIPSCO yesterday. I had to contact some charitable organizations and various cable companies and telephone companies and all those things. And I did have to transfer my Hammond Water account, and had a nice conversation with Mark McLaughlin. Good guy, longtime friend. Nice to talk to him, and a person by the name of Melody. Very, very helpful. But I called and spoke to someone initially at the Hammond Water Department who was downright rude. I understand she's a political hire, but I just want to point out to anybody and everybody that works on the phones that people can record you. They don't need your permission to record you. And if you're rude to people on the phone these days, you're in customer service, you're probably looking at being a very short-term employee, because you can record people. It is totally legal. You do not have to have their permission. Indiana is a one-party state. That means as long as one party knows that they're being recorded, you can do it in person, you can do it by phone. As long as one party knows that there's a recording going on, you can record it. In other words, Adriana and I were sitting here together, and if Adriana wanted to, and she was having a conversation with me, she can record me, and she doesn't have to ask my permission. That should be a little scary to people that work in customer service. But people who work in customer service are just as rude as can be as ever. And it's amazing. Now, if you are in Illinois, it's a two-party state. But here's the angle for that one. If you call from Indiana, you don't have to tell the person in Illinois that you're recording them, because the law says it's where you're at, not where they're at. So, again, 845-1100, if you want to talk about rudeness, you want to talk about the Postal Service, you want to talk about NIPSCO or anything else. And we've got callers. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yes. Last night there was a thing in Hammond, and it was a political thing, but it turned to be for the people. And they didn't mention, I said, are you all aware that NIPSCO is asking for, it was in yesterday's paper, headlines in the Times. They didn't know. I said, I tell you what you do. Now, when the Indiana Regulatory Commission, basically, they basically come to the communities, right?
Right.
First. I think I went to one in Hammond, every time I hear one, because they got to come before the public first. And then they go down, and the governor appoints these people. So let's be good. So I encourage and I offer those people who don't like what I say, let's deal on some substance. Join me, and I don't care who you are. I don't think of party lines. It's about people, and I'm going to be tough on that. Now, when they let us know, well, we coming to Hammond, we coming to Gary, whatever they coming, I intend to be there. And I intend to, once it leaves here, it goes down there to Indiana Regulatory Commission, and that's where they will vote on. So I will pay for a busload of people just to go down, and they join me. So those people who probably will disagree with me on everything, I ask them to join me in that effort.
You know what, Ron? I actually see you and Mad Max sitting on a bus together, because I think you're absolutely right. misery sometimes binds people, and this is one of those things. And I apologize, I didn't find your message until 9:00 last night. But you called you called to let me know about the NIPSCO rate increases. And
absolutely.
I think this is crazy. The fact that they were actually pushing these increases, and the Times points out, they initially filed it on the day of the derecho, and then they filed again 3 days later, and then 2 days later. So in the height of all the problem, your neighbors and Mad Mac and Jed Dietlow and everybody else are sitting in the dark, and they're filing for these increases. So where is their priorities, Vince Parisi? Where were your priorities as the president of the company? You were more focused on getting those increases than you were fixing people's outage.
Yeah. First of all, I don't think the government is going to go along with that because they appoint these people who regulatory committee. So right now they basically asking for we only asking for about, I believe, $7 or $8 more a month. I believe that's what they're asking for. So I'm just saying I was upset. So last night as I was a political event, but it turned to be we're going to take this money for this, and we're going to give it back to the community. And they had over probably 600 or 700 people there in Hammond on Kennedy, 63rd and Kennedy. I guess that's that place 6, but it's a big hall, And so I went there. I went there thinking, I said, well, this is a political thing. Yes, it's a political thing. This candidate was the Williams, but again, he said that. What we have, it be a fundraiser? Yeah, we're taking funds, but we're going to give it to these people, and that's what they're doing right now. But again, so they didn't know. I said, well, hold on, are you all aware? So they said, give Matlock the microphone. Let him tell it. I said, I didn't know that. I didn't know that NIPSCO was acting. I said, was it in the paper? Do you read the paper?
But again, you read it? The story broke yesterday, and think about it, Ron. You've got your neighbors. You've got people that were out for 2 weeks. You had Mad Mac, I think, said he got power this past Saturday. Jed got power, I think, on Monday. I mean, these people were out for days and days. In some cases, like what happened up in Whiting and Robertsdale, they survived the derecho, then the power goes out, then the power comes back on, everybody replaces all the food they lost, then it goes off for 4 more days because they backfeed their transformers, and NIPSCO has the audacity during the height of all this. I mean, how manipulative. They're out there saying, we're working to restore your power, but they're really working to get a rate increase.
Yeah.
Unreal.
So that's my friend who works for NIPSCO. He works on those polls, I guess. I encourage him to join me. Okay, he has some issues with me. Let's deal with things that is disgusting. I mean, I couldn't sleep. I mean, it was up. I can't believe this. Yes, Ron, man, I could afford to do a little more, but why should I? Right now, this community have suffered.
Ron, why should you pay $7 or $8 more a month for an incompetent operation? I sent you that one photo that the person had posted.
Yeah, sure.
And I mean, you actually, your response when we spoke yesterday was, "Is this in my neighborhood or yours?" Because common. It's so common to see just a gobble wires hanging all over the place when it comes to NIPSCO. Just crazy.
Yeah. So you along with you, Tom. When I'm gonna let you know, and when they come in, and I'd like to turn out 500 or 600 people there. And maybe you can come on the report of the press. You come with the press, and of course we will have some news. Whenever it is, I'll let you know, just in case if you don't know. And I'm going to be on the top of this. This is not a Democratic thing or a Republican thing. Okay,
no,
this is a people thing.
People thing. Absolutely, Ron. And I really appreciate you calling and setting this off this morning, because I think there are a lot of people out there that don't understand that you have the right to protest those and object to those increases. And like you said, we need to flood it with people, 500-600 people, and let them know, and let the governor know. And the governor said he's going to be a regular caller to my show. And so when we set up the next interview with him, I'm going to ask him about this increase, because I think it's absolutely ridiculous that they're looking for an increase what, a pat on the back for the horrible work they've just done? I mean, really? Wow.
And Mr. Repay came up and he asked me, and I said, Mr. Repay, he was there, our commissioner, one of our commissioners, one of three. He said, "Oh boy," I said, "Mr. Repay, we asked you. You are commissioner. It's like you're the mayor of a county, so I want you to be involved in that."
Absolutely.
He said, "I know. If I'm not there, you'll call me out." I said, "Will like you, but hey, it's not about like. It's about service that you're supposed to be providing for the people in this community. And when you see something being hurt, especially like with all these people, powers outage and all this stuff, and it's crazy, absolutely crazy. And it'll be another couple of months.
Think about it.
Another couple of months for all this.
But they're out there. They're out there beating the drum about how much they're doing to restore power. NIPSCO is working diligently to restore your power. NIPSCO wasn't working diligently to restore your power. They were working to try and get another increase. I mean, when you think about the timing, Ron. Okay, just think about it. If this is like you going to the hospital and having surgery, and in the middle of the surgery, them waking you up and asking you when you're going to pay for it. I mean, this is just nuts.
Right.
I mean, they're supposedly out there trying to restore service, and in the middle of it, we need more money. We need more money out of your pocket. We've cost you several days worth of food, and we've cost you all kinds of aggravation. We may have interrupted your ability to work. But now we want more money for it because we're doing such a poor job. We need to get paid more. Hey, Ron, thank you so much. And please make sure you call in and let's stay in touch on this because we want to promote the daylights out of it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
845-1100. We've got another caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, some interesting good news.
Well, hold on. Before we go to the good news, Walt, you just heard Ron. And, I mean, again, you and Ron Matlock probably don't agree politically, but you got to agree on this one. You got to oppose the NIPSCO rate increase, correct?
Well, I think it's tone deaf for this. In the middle of all these bad publicity that they've been getting, all of a sudden announced they're going to be asking for a rate increase.
Yeah, they asked for the rate increase on the 11th, on the 14th, and on the 16th, right in the height of the outages. Give us more money. Again, it'd be like, as I said to Ron, it'd be like a patient having surgery in the hospital and then waking you up in the middle of the surgery saying, by the way, we need you to pay us. Unbelievable.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead. You said you had some good news.
Well, a little bit. I was watching Newsmax, and the program dealt with Dolly Parton. And in any case, the media has been interviewing people who knew her and worked with her and so forth. And lo and behold, the person that they were interviewing was Pat Boone. I always thought he was dead.
No, he's still alive. He's in his 90s.
92, and he talked about his friendship with Dolly Parton. And what impressed me about Pat Boone at 92, sharp as a tack. I couldn't. It's the way he reacted to questions and so forth. He sounded more like somebody in his 50s, and not in. He's 92 years old. Amazing.
Yeah, he did an ad a couple years ago on television when he turned 90, and he was doing an ad, and I thought, wow, he really looks good for 90, looks good, speaks well, very, seems to be really, not affected by being 90 years old by any means. But, I point this out. I know some people that are in their 90s, and one gentleman that I usher with every week, and he has amazing stories and amazing comments, and he's as sharp as anybody in their 40s or 50s. So, it just depends. I think it depends on the person, their lifestyle. I mean, no offense, Walt, but you're a little bit older than me, and you're as sharp as a tack. So I don't think
85.
Well,
I'm 85.
85. So you're 7 years younger than Pat Boone. I don't think anybody that listens to you would argue that you've slowed down a bit. I mean,
Oh yes.
Look, but you do a lot of things to keep current too. You watch the
Yep.
news, you read, you're very much active when it comes
Right.
to knowing what's going on, and I think that's part of the aging process. Is that as long as you stay active, your mind's going to be there, and I hope and pray that's the case.
Here's a not so good item, and that I was watching Fox News on Tuesday, and they were interviewing a finance guy, and apparently he was involved with doing a study on some 42 major cities in America, and it turns out that from a financial, and they look at financial issues, and the worst off financial and of all the 42 major cities, Chicago.
Oh, I would have been able to guess that one. That's easy to guess. Chicago's it's really truly becoming a hellhole. I mean, this guy is just clueless.
He indicated they had 8 test items. Chicago failed on 7. He noted that when Detroit went bankrupt, that they had only failed on 6 of those 8 items. So he was kind of predicting that Chicago was heading toward bankruptcy. He didn't have many good words about New York City either. Wow. Not a surprise, is it?
Well, here I just pulled up the current vacancy rate on the Magnificent Mile as of July 2026 is 29.3% vacancy. I mean, to me, that's insane. And let's see what State Street is, because State Street is really empty in Chicago. Drove down it a few weeks ago, and I was shocked by the vacancy rate there. It is also 30%. So 30% vacancy rate in your downtown area is pretty darn bad. I mean,
right.
But Johnson, I watched an interview with him yesterday, and he's so clueless. He has no idea what's going on. He just doesn't have a clue, and how he can be the mayor of Chicago and how he can even consider running for re-election is beyond me. I mean, the guy just doesn't get it at all. Any question that's posed to him, he kind of stutters, and then he changes the conversation. You know, he talks about things that people are asking about the murder rate. The murder rate in Chicago is like 291 people. It is larger than the murder rate by tenfold if you take Miami, Miami, Tampa, Orlando, and Jacksonville in Florida, the 4 largest cities in Florida. If you take those 4, their murder rate for this year is somewhere around 35, and Chicago is 291. So it's about 9 times bigger. And Johnson, when they ask him, he says, well, we basically, and then he starts talking about something that had to do with a festival. He didn't even answer. He goes, well, and then we have this festival coming up. It's like, what? What are you talking about? I mean, talk about a guy that you worry about his abilities. I mean, this guy's clueless. He's talking about festivals, and people are asking about the murder rate. So, just not a surprise that Chicago would be in such distress. And I don't know. I don't know about you, Walt, but I'm worried about a guy like Janulius. I think he's just a bag man. He doesn't strike me as a very bright guy. I don't know that he is the answer. There's a woman named Carter. She's the woman that keeps on calling him out at city council meetings. I like her stand on a lot of things, but I don't think she has a chance to win. And then you've got some others like Maria Kappas that are planning on running. They need a person who can come into Chicago and fix the problems. And I haven't seen a candidate yet that convinces me that they're a fixer. They're an operations person that can come in and say, okay, this is what we're going to do, and here's how we're going to do it, and they start doing it. I think the problem is there are a lot of experienced politicians running so far. I may have missed somebody, so if you can think of one, give me a call at 845-1100. But Walt, thank you so much. Thanks for the call.
Sure enough.
All right. Do we want to take a break right now? All right. You're listening to the Morning Call Day 2 on WJLB 1230 M, 104.7 FM. We'll be right back after these commercial announcements.
For over 100 years, Roofers Local 26 has been keeping Northwest Indiana dry and safe. Since 1919, our highly trained members have built a reputation for skills, safety, and reliability. With a 4-year apprenticeship and certifications in OSHA safety, first aid, and CPR, we deliver quality you can trust. When you need roofing done right, choose Roofers Local 26, protecting what matters most for over a century. For more information, visit www.roofers26.com.
Introducing Powers Health, a health system with a new name and a strong legacy of caring for families in our community. One with a tradition of advanced specialized services and a vision for the future. One with a commitment to medical excellence and compassionate care. Everything we do, everything we believe, powers health.
Do you like to work with your hands, creating something from nothing? Then think about Laborers Local 41. You'll get 432 hours of apprenticeship training, all while earning a wage with benefits and incurring no student debt. You'll travel to different job sites, learn tons of skills, and in a lot of cases, be the first one on and the last one off a job site. It all starts at laborers41.com.
Experience a better way of home building with McFarland Homes. For over 25 years, McFarland Homes has been crafting high-quality homes right here in Northwest Indiana. Founded by Ron McFarland, our team of experts is committed to building homes that stand the test of time. Discover the comfort of a McFarland home in beautifully planned communities like Park West and St. John and Beacon Point West and Cedar Lake single-family community. With options like open floor plans, spacious master suites, and sun-filled Florida rooms, there's a McFarland home that's perfect for you. McFarland Homes, building a better way of living.
Cherish every moment. Enjoy every aspect of life. Laugh and smile. Family Dental Care loves what we do, and it shows in every smile we make. Attentive, respectful doctors listen and use advanced technology to pinpoint the problem. Patients are then in and out with same-day service. Let Family Dental Care protect your teeth so you can focus on what's important in life.
Visit our website at FamilyDentalCare.com for an office near you to request an appointment.
We're back, and I'm going to give you a rundown of who's running right now for mayor of Chicago. And why worry about the mayor of Chicago? Well, Chicago, of course, is the economic engine that basically affects our area. So you've got Brandon Johnson, whose qualifications should say moron, but at minimum, he is a former Cook County commissioner, former Chicago Public Schools teacher, bless you, and former Chicago Teachers Union organizer. So we basically know what a mistake that guy is. Then we have Alexi Janulius, who I mentioned before is nothing but a puppet for everybody else. He's the guy that's been running ads saying that he is working to fight against Trump as the Illinois Secretary of State, which the Illinois Secretary of State's office basically oversees the state driving licensing facilities and keeping the state's official records. Talk about a state official that has absolutely no impact, no say, no impact whatsoever when it comes to federal elections and the presidency. That would be it. And this guy's whole campaign is he's anti-Trump. What a genius he would be. Then you have Susan Mendoza. Mendoza is the state controller, has good fiscal background. She seems to be a pleasant person when you see her on TV, but I don't know if she has the fire in her belly to really take on that position or not. It's questionable. Then you've got another political hack, Mike Quigley, who has been in Congress since 2009, basically known for getting nothing done. Hasn't introduced a bill, hasn't really done much of anything. Was 20 years a member of the Cook County Board of Commissioners, and admits that he's flown under the radar. Anybody who says, I've spent my career flying under the radar is not somebody you want for mayor. George Cardenas. Cardenas has been a commissioner of the Cook County Board of Review, handling taxpayer appeals for property assessments. That says a lot. And he was in the city council for 20 years in the 12th ward on the southwest side. Again, his, it's just questionable what he'd be able to accomplish. Matt Brewer is an attorney and former member of the Chicago Housing Authority Board of Commissioners, and he was the board chair of the CHA. I was the board chair of the Hammond Housing Authority. I've been on the Hammond Housing Authority as long as he's been in Chicago at the Chicago Housing Authority, and that does not qualify you to become mayor. Lisa Nee, a cardiologist and public policy advisor. She was a whistleblower who once worked at the Hines VA Hospital, and she wants to focus on becoming mayor because she's lived there her entire life. There you go. Well, that's a qualification in itself. Not. Joe Holberg, an entrepreneur and former math teacher. He's the founder of Springs, a wealth advisory firm, which has since been acquired. Basically says, I have a vision, but he hasn't announced what the vision is. Okay. John Kelly, a lobbyist who basically represents Bally's Casino. There's a qualified guy. Willie Wilson. Willie Wilson's campaign has reached out to me a couple of times about being a guest on this show, but it never comes to fruition. Nice staff, kind of worry about Willie Wilson. I don't think has a real strong candidacy, but anything's possible. And then Maria Pappas. Maria Pappas is the Cook County treasurer for 30 years. She is viewed by a lot of people as probably being one of the stronger folks to run for mayor. So those are, and then there's Liam Stanton, a small business owner who wants to run, and basically not a lot of information on him. He has now dropped out and is endorsing Janulius. So those are the Democratic nominees. And then Ms. Carter is running on the Republican side. So do any of those excite you? I mean, again, mayor of Chicago, it's kind of fun to live in Northwest Indiana and the southern suburbs and be the Monday morning quarterback of what goes on in Chicago. But the fact is that the Chicago elections is going to affect this area, because if you get another buffoon like Brandon Johnson in there, there's no chance at all that that Chicago is going to recover. I mean, it's in a downward spiral right now. And as I pointed out to Walt, 30% vacancy in its downtown area. Take your pick, State Street or Michigan Avenue. It's going to be a hard time recovering from that kind of downward spiral if Brandon Johnson gets in again. So 845-1100. Again, you heard from Ron Matlock this morning, first thing, and he's absolutely right. This is not a party issue. It's not a political issue. It is just downright necessary for people to oppose the NIPSCO rate increase, and how they had the audacity to file the increase on the day of the derecho, then file another one 3 days later and 3 days after that. So the whole time while they were supposedly working to get your power back on, they were really working to get a rate increase. And we've got full phone lines, so let's go to the callers. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hello, Tom.
Good morning.
Lunch menu, Dave, checking in from the north of Chicago, if you will, Evanston, Illinois. Evanston, Illinois, formerly of Griffith, Indiana.
Got you. Well, then the city of Chicago and the election of the mayor of Chicago has to be a consideration as well, because you also are a Monday morning quarterback living in Evanston. It has some effect on you.
Oh, it feels like I'm a Monday morning quarterback when it comes to politics all over in the entirety of the Chicago metropolitan area. Sometimes in Griffith and sometimes here in Evanston. But enough of Monday morning quarterbacking. It's Thursday, and with this Thursday, I'm saying this right now, especially when it comes to this Thursday, T-minus 1 week until Griffith's Rockin' Party assuming NIPSCO gets their crap together and gets the power back onto everybody down there by then. You know
what? Rock and Rail is a great festival. It's just one of the very best in Northwest Indiana, and it's exciting. It'll be, I would think it'll be a great respite for a lot of people who went through hell for the last few weeks without power, to be able to kind of rejoin society and get back to some normal activities. And Rock and Rail will be a great way to kind of dust off the headaches of the past few weeks and enjoy a great time. And you're absolutely right. It's a wonderful festival.
Yep. To kind of borrow a line, from, I think it was Pink Floyd, and this might apply to one Vince Parisi, if you will. You can't have any pudding if you don't eat your meat.
Well, I'll tell you
and
what.
And the meat in this case is fixing the power.
Right, and Vince Parisi, and all these other talking heads from NIPSCO, how concerned they were and how upset they were, and just baloney the whole time. It's like, sir, I'm really upset about you losing your power. Hey, how fast can we get an increase? Yeah, right. Talking out both sides of your mouth. Unbelievable.
Hey, let me say this much.
Sure.
If Parisi wants some money real bad, why don't he go grovel to Trump's butt and try to get it from Trump?
Hey, you know
and
what?
Not from you guys, the rest of you guys in Northwest Indiana.
Well, better yet, maybe he can hand the money off to the guy running for mayor of Chicago. That's the consultant to Bally's, and maybe he can put it on. He can, put a great big bet in and raise some money that way. So, hey, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. 845-1100. We've got more callers. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Tom. How you doing?
Good morning. Fine. How are you?
You're talking about recording phone calls. Mr. Walt was talking about Newsmax, and all the time, every time I watch Newsmax, they have this commercial on there. You only got 24 hours to call to get your $900 food cart. In a little print, it says agent, though. Has nothing to do with anything. It's Medicare.
Look, there are scams going on. There are scams going on right now.
Yeah, but listen to this one. Okay, you say we can record people. So
yes,
I cut the clip of that video, made a sound recording, and I played it to this guy on the phone. I call him, and I says, "Now let me tell you, I'm recording this conversation." Because he says, "Okay." I says, "Now it says that you're not going to change any of my insurance plans, nothing." I says, the first thing, I called you. You didn't call me. First thing, this says 24 hours. This is 2 days after it's supposed to be expired. Can I still get the card? Well, let's go through the application. I says, first thing, I want to ask you a question. You called me. I called you. You didn't call me. I says, are you with Medicare? Yes or no?
No, he's not.
He said, well, we're a licensed agent. I says, well, it says this has nothing to do with anything else. It's with Medicare. So I says, then he says, well, you got to fill out the application and reapply for this. They're trying to change your insurance. Now, I had a problem with my insurance last month, and my family doctor had this lady call somebody. A real person from Medicare called me up, straightened both me and my wife's insurance out. Now, this lady gives me her name and her employee number and says, I am from Medicare and Medicaid. I said, okay. And she got it all straightened out. And I asked her about this $900 food cart. She says, nothing but a scam. They want to change your Advantage plan.
And here's what Mike, because we do have other callers. Look, there are scams going on right now. There are scams as it relates to Medicare and health insurance. There are scams that are being placed upon people in Northwest Indiana that are claiming all kinds of things as a result of the storms. Everything from unscrupulous contractors that want to fix your home to con artists on
Now,
providing insurance
I'm
that you don't need. So you need to be aware. People need to be aware of it. I think that's the key point.
I'm undercovering a scam right now in Indiana about, okay, listen to this one. Okay, I quit the driving academy because
you mentioned
they ripped me out. Okay, now I'm completely done. I'm enjoying my life, but I start doing research. Okay, people are trying to tell you you can't get a CD unless you go to a driving academy school. You go to a driving school to teach you. No, I did the research. The cost of a CDL is $17. A DOT physical, the most, is $150. You can do your ELDT online for $200. Comes out to $377. You can do this all on your. I called the state of Indiana about this, and then I said, the place where you take to get your test, if you rent their truck, it's a little bit more. But if you have a friend that has a commercial vehicle, Class A, you can take and use their truck to train them in. Okay, you got to register with the Federal Motor Carrier, and basically, you don't have to pay $5,000 to driving school, where it's only going to cost you not even $500 to get a CDL on your own. It's nothing but a driving school.
That's a little worrisome,
scam.
though, because you want to make sure that people that are driving that have a CDL, that they're properly trained. And I worry about that, because what you're saying is that they can go out and they can borrow a truck and learn, but are they learning from someone like yourself who has all that experience, or are they learning from their neighbor who really doesn't know what they're doing?
The state of Indiana told me yesterday, the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, Federal Motor Carrier Inspector told me, okay, when you register that truck, the driver that is teaching, they do a background check that you have drove the truck many years, and you have to document how many hours and what you have to. There's a sheet that you have to fill out for that person every day that you train them, and there's so many hours. But you don't have to pay $5,000 to a driving school in Northwest Indiana. It can be done between me, a friend that has a truck, and a person that wants to get a license will only cost them $500.
Well, sounds to me like Trucker Mike hasn't retired completely, and you're looking at starting up a new way of training people. But
no, I got my lifetime fishing license, and I got 2 fishing poles now, my tackle box, and I'm waiting for winter. So Bill from Lowell, I can go back in that hot shack that he had and sit on a frozen lake and watch the fish come out of a little round hole. All right,
well, we're going to move on. We're going to move on because we're not close to winter just yet, Mike. But thanks so much for the call. 845-1100. We've got additional callers. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, if anybody else experienced the situation I'm experiencing, please call in. So my NIPSCO bill is due on the 31st of every month, and I have not received the bill yet in the mail. So just throwing that one out there. Anybody else? I don't know if they're back. I don't know what's going on.
How do you feel about the fact that here you were without power at NIPSCO the whole time while they're telling you they're working to get your power back? What they actually were doing was they were spending a considerable amount of time and energy trying to get an increase.
Oh, sure. The bean counters are in the back room saying, this is what it's going to cost us to fix this, and we got to recoup this. So, of course, I wouldn't expect anything less from these scumbags.
So basically, when Vince Parisi and others were sitting in front of the news media saying that all hands on deck were all devoted and focused on restoring power, that wasn't true. Isn't that amazing?
No, and that was for 30 seconds, and then right after that, he took the hard hat that's never been worn before, threw that in the garbage, and said, "Oh boy, let's go do some math, boys."
Yeah, I mean, they really they have just talk about a company that tries to put the screws to people daily. I mean, that ought to be their logo. It should be like a giant screw, and it, with a sign that says "You are next," because that's what they do. I mean, I still have not heard from one person from NIPSCO that can explain to me how you have 70-year-old utility poles that are, that basically have never been replaced. There's no process. They haven't even got a clue as to how many utility poles they have out there, because they put utility poles next to utility poles and they never take down the old one. I mean, they have no clue. They're so clueless.
Oh, yeah. And I'll make one more comment. You were absolutely right about something that you said the other day. You mentioned how the Florida lines, they have 2 clips holding that line up.
Yep.
I drive from Porter County to Dyer every day, and I just paid attention at the stop signs and the stop lights. I go through it all. And you are absolutely right. Put another clip on, dummies.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's not that hard. Well, here, how about this? How about the fact that as you're driving from Portage to Dyer, you're driving actually through an area from Portage through East Chicago along the lakefront. You have some of the largest steel mills in the United States, right? You've got all these steel mills, and everywhere else has metal poles for high transmission wires, 32K and above, but not Indiana, not NIPSCO. NIPSCO's got wooden coals. So it's just crazy. Yeah. I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand how they could be so incompetent and have, the problems that they have, and then they're going to pat themselves on the back and say, we deserve an increase. You don't deserve an increase. You don't deserve anything. You deserve a decrease. You people have screwed up the lives of so many people. We're going to have Adrian Santos is going to be in here at 7:30, and he's a North Township trustee. And the trustees' offices, of course, have had, just a huge number of people contacting them, asking them for assistance right now, and rightly so. That's what they're there for. But, none of this would have happened if NIPSCO had simply put the kind of money and investment that they needed to put into their system. In fact, I'm going to read it in a few minutes. I've got a statement that somebody sent me from a lineman that basically came to Northwest Indiana to help out, and what he has to say about what he saw in Northwest Indiana is just mind-boggling. I mean, his comments are not very complimentary. That's for darn sure. So
so that's my situation. If anybody hasn't received their bill, and it's usually due, and mine's due in 3 days, call in. I want to know if I'm the only one or what's going on here.
Well, you know what? If you don't get the bill, they'll probably charge you with a. They'll probably go ahead and charge you with a late fee too.
A late fee.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I want to see with everybody else.
Yeah, unbelievable. Hey, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy. Yep.
All right, 845-1100 is the number to call. I've got to wait to take calls just for a second here. Adriana has stepped away. So, again, NIPSCO is looking for a rate increase after all of the mistakes and all of the problems that have come to bear. They're looking for a rate increase right now. To me, it's just amazing that they would think that they're entitled to any additional compensation after creating such problems for so many lives. I mean, when you hear the numbers, 374,000 customers, that's like 900,000 people that were inconvenienced by their incompetence. And you can say, well, but Tom, they didn't cause the storm. That's right. And storms hit a lot of areas, but look how fast ComEd was able to recover. Look how fast, they recover from storms in Florida. I've had neighbors of mine in the condominium area that I live, and they've told me that usually the power, if it goes out for about 12 to 24 hours, and that's after a hurricane. And then you come to Northwest Indiana, and it's still out there, still people that don't have power yet. Mark from Hobart just sent me a text that shows me that there's still a couple hundred people without power in Northwest Indiana. To me, that's amazing. NIPSCO says, well, it's their weatherhead. Well, it's this, it's that. Look, NIPSCO has been so incompetent that they really, truly Somebody ought to be able to hold them accountable and say, we're not going to give you any increases. And I think that starts with the mayor. We're not going to give you any increases, or with the governor, with the governor. I was clicking on the mayor of Chicago again. But you basically, you have to say, no way, you're not getting an increase. What is going on in northern Indiana is unacceptable. And until you basically show us that you have a competent operation going, we're not going to give you another dime. That's where my views are. 845-1100 is the number to call. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to take a quick break because I want to read this conversation that somebody had with a lineman, and I need to pull it up. So let's take a quick break. We'll come right back. You're listening to The Morning Call, Day 2, on WJLB 1230 AM and 104.7 FM.
Indiana wants me.
Know a Hoosier serving in the military or living overseas? Indiana wants every eligible Hoosier to participate in our elections. Military and overseas voters can register and vote securely from anywhere in the world. Voting assistance for service members, families, and eligible Hoosiers is available now. Visit IndianaWantsYou.com or contact your county election office. And remember, Indiana wants you. Message sponsored by your Indiana Secretary of State.
Indiana wants me.
Hoosier fans, your defending national championship Indiana football team kicks off the 2026 season on Saturday, September 5th. Join head coach Kurt Signetti and the Hoosiers at Merchant Bank Field at Memorial Stadium as they take on the North Texas Mean Green, with kickoff at the Rock at 12 p.m. Tickets are sold out throughout the 2026 season, though you can visit IUHoosiers.com and purchase yours today through SeatGeek, the official fan-to-fan marketplace for IU athletics. Cheer on your Hoosiers to victory all season long.
When your home needs help, the last thing you need is a faceless corporation or sales-driven franchise. At Myers Companies, we've been proudly local since 1951, born and raised right here in Northwest Indiana. We're family-owned and operated, built on trust, hard work, and integrity. And because we're family, we treat you like family. Your comfort and safety always come first. For HVAC, plumbing, and electrical done right, choose Myers Companies. Local, family-owned, here for your family.
Plumbers Local 210 is building the future, and we're looking for service plumbers to join our team. Our training center invests nearly $500,000 every year to make sure our members are the best in the industry. From a 5-year apprenticeship and an associate degree at Ivy Tech to ongoing certifications in safety and new technology, our plumbers are trained for excellence. Every member is drug tested and licensed for your safety and peace of mind. When you need plumbing work done, make sure you ask for the license. It's your right to ask.
St. Nicholas Byzantine Catholic Church, located at 8103 Columbia Avenue in Munster, celebrates Divine Liturgy every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. We are Eastern Rite Catholics in union with the Pope, the Bishop of Rome. All Catholics who celebrate Divine Liturgy or Mass with us fulfill their Holy Day and Sunday obligations as they do in their own churches. Join us in person this coming Sunday to find out the beauty of a Byzantine Catholic Divine Liturgy at St. Nicholas Church.
All right, we're back, and unfortunately, I can't get the email to open up, and I don't know why, but I have to use the new Outlook to get to my Google or to my Gmail, and it won't open. My business account will open, and not my Gmail. So
we use Gmail for a lot of things, and everything's going towards Outlook. Right. And it's messing up a lot of things because Google and Microsoft aren't really that compatible.
Yeah, they're not. And so the problem is that Google now says, okay, Gmail has to be used only in New Outlook if you're using Outlook. So you have to switch to New Outlook. There's a little toggle up on the right-hand side, upper right. And I hit the toggle, and then it says basically it's not available right now. Like, what do you mean it's not available right now? When will it be available? But we'll get to it at some point. But the crux of the statement was that the lineman basically was from an outside utility and said what he saw was just dumbfounding. Old poles that should have never ever been out there as long as they were, that they were well past their useful life. Transformers that were mounted incorrectly, that they were in many cases not even level, and that it was causing the oil that's in a transformer basically to kind of slosh to one side, and that was putting creating extra heat on the transformer. He mentioned again how they don't have any redundant attachment systems for hanging wires. I mean, this went through a whole litany of things that this person saw and said, I'm just shocked. And literally, I guess in some cases, by what he saw and said, look, trees never trimmed, redundant lines. There were old lines that were left up that should have been taken down so that when you have a storm, you don't know. His point was, I didn't know if it was a new line or an old line, if it was an active line or an inactive line. I'm trying to connect lines that no longer need to be connected. And this is from a lineman that came to Northwest Indiana to help out. To me, it's just shocking that people are coming from the outside and they're saying, wow, I've never seen a bigger mess. And then NIPSCO has the audacity to ask for a rate increase. So they want to add another $7, $8 a month to your NIPSCO bill. How do you feel about that? 845-1100 is the number to call, and we've got callers. Good morning. You're on the air.
Tom, I'm sure you heard about the letter that U.S. Steel sent out to its employees saying not to take any time off if you don't have any power.
Yeah, that was another genius move. I wonder seriously. I mean, I used to teach graduate students, and I'm just shocked by the stupidity of people when it comes to that sort of thing. You cannot take time off from U.S. Steel Gary Works, even though you don't have power and your family's living in the dark and you're losing everything at home. We want you to come into work. Okay, I get it. Where they could have written the letter and said, look, we understand the extreme situations that you're going through, but if you can try and make it into work, it'd be helpful. But basically, U.S. Steel put, our concerns are running the facility first. So that tells you a lot about how they feel about their employees. Just not well worded. The message maybe had to go out there, but the message was occluded by the stupidity of the person that wrote the letter.
Tom, if you think what BP is doing right now is bad, wait till you see what these guys do. The Japanese are ruthless cost cutters.
Oh yeah,
they're anti-union. If you're an employee, or you're worse yet, if you're a vendor, look out. These guys, you know what? What are we going to learn over here, Tom? If Cleveland Cliffs said we want to buy Nippon, do you think the Japanese government would have allowed that?
Again, they would not. But look at the fact that we talked about this yesterday. NIPSCO, even within the United States, NIPSCO's not a local company. Okay, people drive down I-65 and they see that NIPSCO building. It's half empty. The headquarters is actually in Columbus, Ohio. NIPSCO isn't a local company. BP Oil isn't a local company. They're headquartered in London. And now U.S. Steel is headquartered in Japan. They could care less about Americans. You lost power. Your family's in the dark. Too bad. Come in and work in our plant. That's the message that they gave. Just pathetic.
I don't know. I think, what's the future hold? I mean, the infrastructure of this country is crumbling, literally crumbling, and yet nobody seems interested in doing anything about it. Thanks, Tom. Take care.
No, thank you. Thanks for the call. 845-1100. I mean, again, the caller's got great points. So in all the problems that were going on, people losing literally everything. I mean, if you don't have power and you've got a sump pump system, your basement's flooding, you're losing your refrigerator, you're losing your freezer, you're losing all kinds of things. And there was such stress for so many families. And U.S. Steel, I guess maybe they borrowed somebody from the PR department at NIPSCO, wrote this nasty letter basically to its employees that said, too bad if you lost power, you need to come into work. We want you to come into work. It didn't say look, we understand, we sympathize with you, we totally understand what's going on, but if you can, try and help us out. Instead, it's nope, come to work. We don't care. That's the approach that some of these companies are taking. And BP, well, BP is right up there with NIPSCO. I mean, talk about a company that doesn't care. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I think it's time for the President of the United States to weigh in. He doesn't like the British anyway. Donald Trump, this is your chance. It's your chance to save the day, and you need to take a position as President of the United States about that strike over at BP Oil in Whiting. And I know some people are sitting there saying, Tom, he could care less. My point is this, is that BP, that Whiting refinery has a major impact on the price of gasoline and jet fuel in the Midwest. So it's relevant for the president to weigh in. The governor has tried to bring them to the bargaining table, and they won't budge. So maybe it's time for the president to put some pressure on, because maybe the British back in London will actually get the message if the president of the United States starts attacking him. And Donald Trump seems to like to attack everybody. I mean, our price of toilet paper is going to go sky high because of the tariffs and disputes with Canada. So, if he's willing to take on the Canadians, why not take on the British too? Besides, it'll be revenge for the, back to the days of the Revolutionary War, I guess, but in the War of 1812. So 845-1100 is the number to call, and we've got callers. Good morning, you're on the air.
Hey, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, good. People should take some hope in that lawsuit filed by Ken Allen. That's big. That's really big. That's a reckoning. That's just not a lawsuit. If they get class certification, if it's granted, look out, because NIPSCO's finally going to get the scrutiny it should have gotten over the years, over the decades, that it should get from the IURC, which it does not get. They basically get a push. I was once an editor at a mid-Indiana daily newspaper, a business editor, and I was stunned. Now, this is 25 years ago, at how many petitions went before the IRUC from NIPSCO. We're talking pro forma every week, at least 3 times a week, at least. A nickel here, 25 cents here, 50 cents, sometimes $1, sometimes even more. But every week that I was there, they were petitioning for some sort of raise. Again, nickel there, add them up, though, add them up amongst their clientele, their customers. You got some serious money there. And I just wanted to bring that up. But that lawsuit is big. People should watch that.
I actually was thinking of reaching out to Ken Allen and his law practice to have somebody come in and talk about that suit. I hope you're right, George. You follow those kinds of issues closer than I do, but I would think that it gives a chance, if nothing else, to really uncover and expose how disorganized and how poorly managed NIPSCO is, if nothing else.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, imagine what Discovery is going to reveal.
Yeah, I mean, what a disaster!
Yeah, he sued on negligence theory. So we're talking about, getting in there. What's your duty? Your breach of duty. What have you done? To comply and conform. Your decision making or whatever you're supposed to be doing. They're going to scrutinize all kinds of stuff that never is scrutinized. It's just given a push by the IURC. Okay, you want a quarter here, you want $1, fine, no problem. Yeah, and you can deal with it as a marketing.
I really hope that has an impact because, again, as Ron pointed out, first caller this morning, NIPSCO wants an increase, okay? And the whole time that NIPSCO is telling you how worried they are about all these people that are out of power, their real focus was they filed 3 different petitions with the IURC to get a rate increase.
That's pro forma. But that's nothing new. They do that. That's what I'm trying to say. That's nothing new. That didn't surprise me in the least. They probably already had that in the hopper prior to the jury show coming. So, and you're going to still see some more next week, too. They don't care. They're NIPSCO. They're part of NiSource. They're feeding, they're looking at keeping that profit margin at a certain amount. And that's what they got to maintain, a certain profit margin. And forget about all this, we're a public service utility, blah, blah, blah. They're in there to make money. And that's where it's really gotten distorted. They're allowed to make a certain amount of profit to invest back into the company as a nonprofit, at least in theory, in principle. But they've really taking it a step further by moving that revenue up into NiSource, and NiSource is redistributing all the dividends, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, I don't want to get into all that, but I just want to let you know that suit, to me anyway, that's my contention, my belief, is big.
Well,
it's really big.
I hope that's the case. I really do, because I'll tell you what, it something has to give when it comes to NIPSCO. And NIPSCO, again, I wish I could pull up this darn email that the person sent me, because, again, this is a linesman who basically came from another utility and said, I couldn't believe the disastrous system that was in place. And he said, yeah, trees knock things down and wind knocks things down, but the wind and the storm didn't cause 70-year-old poles and antiquated installations and transformers that were never hung straight to begin with. And the guy actually points out that you could tell, because you could tell how the markings on the transformer were, that it never was actually mounted correctly. I mean, to me, it's just disturbing that NIPSCO is such a disaster, and then they don't care.
Well,
they don't care.
In addition to that, they have superior land rights in their easements over any private property.
Yeah,
and they don't. And I saw a lot of rotten trees that were way, way old trees. Something should have been done on their easements, and on no dimes to dollars. They didn't inspect those. They didn't do proper maintenance on those trees. None of it. And when a strong wind like that came by, it toppled them all. And that's another thing. You've got to maintain, because they're in court often enough. They have been in the past on protecting their rights, their superior rights to an easement. 100 feet either way on the transmission lines. But then when it comes to maintaining that,
Well, George,
George,
look at that collection. Anyway. Look at that collection of utility poles along Indianapolis Boulevard. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And how often does somebody hit one of those poles? You've got the one pole right in front of Unilever that literally sits out in the pavement, but they won't move it. I mean, they don't care. And those are 32 to 38,000 kV. Those are distribution lines. I mean, anywhere else, those kinds of distribution lines would be underground, but not here, not with NIPSCO. I'll just throw up another pole. Hey, you know what? How old is that pole? 50 years? Oh, it's got another 25 years in it. Yeah, that's their approach.
Well, yesterday, I think it was one of your callers came in that had some sort of knowledge about how they ran things on the inside. And the whole concept anymore is do more with less people.
Yeah.
The whole we're talking something beyond just mere efficiency. We're talking about do more with almost running a skeleton crew. And I think that's the big thing. It's the manpower issue. But when you get into that, well, then that's going to cut into the profit margin unless they want to keep bumping the price. And then, of course, you get into the tug of war with the customers.
All right, but George, when you get your NIPSCO bill, it says service and distribution fees. So you're paying for a distribution fees. Distribution would mean, in my mind, that it would be going to help pay for improving the distribution system, but not in their mind. In their mind, it's just like, oh yeah, well, so what?
Exactly.
We got
another revenue stream.
Yeah, we got a crappy system. We'll steal that money and hand it off to somebody else, and that's what they're doing.
There it is.
Unbelievable.
It's just a revenue stream.
Well, again, you gave me a great idea. I think I'm going to contact Ken Allen and see if somebody wants to come on to explain explain the suit.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care. 845-1100 is the number to call. We've got more callers. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah. Hey, Tom, you're talking about this, the lack of maintaining infrastructure by NIPSCO. I can't say that surprises me. I remember back in the 1970s at Wisconsin Steel, we had a whole department of draftsmen. Their job was to maintain records of everything that was, as far as my end, all the electrical equipment in that mill, both underground and overhead, where everything was buried, where everything was, make sure that all the prints were up to date. So any journeyman could go there and knew exactly what they were dealing with. Amoco, on the other hand, I was shocked when I first went there. And to this day, it's probably still the same way. Nobody, for over 130-some years, ever kept records of what's underground there. The sewers, underground piping, electrical, Everything below grade is a big mystery. Anytime you want to have an exciting day, just start digging a hole there and see what you hit. And that's just how the industry around here rolls. You know, it doesn't surprise me NIPSCO doesn't maintain anything because, we were actually point blank told at the time that you had to do more with less. And the first thing the British said when they came into this place back in the day was, we're cutting the maintenance budget. We don't know whiting jack. We're here to make money. And if we can't make any money here, we'll drop this place like a bad habit. Anybody that tried to bring up the day-to-day realities of what was needed to maintain the place, you're basically a pariah. Didn't want to hear it. And so it doesn't really surprise me NIPSCO plays the same game because that just seems to be the way things roll around here.
Well, you know what, Lee? I've got a statement out. This was sent by Chuck Pullen. This is not the same statement that somebody sent me, but this is pretty close. So let me read this to you for a second, and bear with me, okay? This is somebody who posted, basically says, well, it needs to be said that the storms that recently hit northwest Indiana was horrendous. On a scale of a major hurricane, the inefficiency in which NIPSCO ran the restoration significantly led to the length of outages. I've been a journeyman lineman for over 25 years and have responded to literally hundreds of storms across the country. I understand needing accountability for materials, but the crews were not allowed to stock up materials at the beginning of each day. The majority of restoration work requires the same materials with occasional deviation of a unique piece of equipment. So instead of being able to stock up in the morning and go out to the job from job to job, as the crews were instead expected to head back to the warehouse to fill out a new requisition form several times a day, noting the location of each job that they were requesting materials for. This wasted several hours of travel time back and forth, time that could have been used for quicker restoration. It must also be mentioned that NIPSCO's field representatives that the crews reported to were fantastic. They were welcoming, responsive, and helpful. That said, communication between upper management and field representatives was awful. NIPSCO also had some remote laydown yards for material closer to where some of the crews were working. This was not even communicated to field reps until 5 days into the storm, while crews continued to communicate back and forth to headquarters to get materials needed. The warehouse management treated traveling crews horribly. Later in the storm restoration, these yards disappeared, and I've got to go to the second screen. And storm restoration, these yards disappeared when NIPSCO management was questioned why. The crews were told that they were too efficient. How can you be too efficient when people still don't have power after 2 weeks? These yards just disappeared overnight again without any communication in the field. Some crews today had to travel over 2 hours to get material that they needed for restoration. This has subsequently led to more customers being upset with crews with something that is beyond their control. Tensions are understandable, high, and some could have been managed better, but utility management needs to take a hard look at how things are handled for their customers. It is rumored that a high-ranking official at NIPSCO is in a romantic relationship with the owner of one of the contract line companies. It is alleged that this company has a significant tool allowance. This may have influenced the management of the storm. If this rumor has any truth, it is significant conflict of interest for NIPSCO management, and this contractor has a powerful impact on the NIPSCO customers, all who are waiting for restoration of power. So this was sent to me by Chuck Pullen. That's another lineman, and I'm trying to pull up the one that was sent to me yesterday. I mean, the linemen that are coming into this area are saying this is ridiculous. This is a mistake. It's a disaster, and NIPSCO doesn't care. Just insane.
Yeah, like I say, it doesn't surprise me. I saw that most of my working life here. 60 years ago, back in the day, like I say, when the old mills in Chicago were running, it was a different attitude. It was generational. These guys took pride in knowing their job and knowing what exactly where all the bodies are buried and what needed to be done, the nuts and bolts of the job. But then once the 80s rolled around and things started to change, you got a new young generation of people coming into management in these places, and it's all about the greenbacks. It's, they're here to make money. I mean, British Petroleum flat out told us that point blank when they came in. We're here to make money. And the first thing they did was cut the maintenance budget. And that's just how it goes. And and apparently NIPSCO's no exception to the rule. I've got a pole down at the end of the block here. It's split in half. I turned that in, I don't know how many times, 10, 15 years ago, and it's still sitting there.
They don't care.
And that's a 12 kV line, if I remember.
Yeah, and they don't care. And you look at the poles on Calumet Avenue, driving north of 129th Street, and they're all listing one way or the other. And NIPSCO doesn't care. And those are major feed lines for the whole northern end of Hammond and Whiting and that whole area. Unbelievable. Hey, Lee, thanks for the call. 845-1100 is the number to call. We've got more callers. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, Tom.
Yes.
Good morning. As much as your producer hates to do traffic, can you ask her to stop updating her Facebook status and give traffic on 8094? 8094 is a parking lot at Broadway. There's an accident.
Yeah.
Both directions is backed up.
Well, except for the fact that I'm the one that has been doing traffic this morning, not Adriana. And the problem is that my computer, I've been trying to fool with it all morning. For some reason, it keeps on doing updates this morning, and so I'm having. All right. Well,
let me help you out. Then eastbound 8094 at Broadway, there's a 3-car pileup on the left shoulder, which is causing a gaper's delay going westbound all the way back to I-65. Eastbound to I-65, and then westbound it's backed up to Klein Avenue. So.
Yeah, and
Broadway, eastbound Broadway.
Okay,
got everything jacked up.
So the accident is at Broadway, okay, and you're saying it's now backed up to
backed up to Klein and backed up to 65.
Gotcha. I appreciate it. And again, I'm having a little technical difficulty. For some reason, my computer keeps on saying it's updating. Well, okay, it's been updating for an hour, so I apologize on that.
The conversation as it relates to the foliage issue and Kenneth Allen's lawsuit, there's culpability to be placed in a lot of places. But my daughter owns a house in Crown Point. She's got about a 45-foot elm tree in her front yard. That thing's got me on pins and needles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have an arborist come out and inspect that tree, because heaven forbid we have another storm. I don't want it to come down on the house. I want to make sure that thing's stable.
Sure.
As you drive around through all this mess that we've had over the last 2 weeks, it is mind-boggling how many trees have been compromised from the inside, and people don't realize it till you got a 50-plus mile per hour wind come through and knocks it down. A lot of these trees that have went down, they're not necessarily trees that have been in easements that nobody owns. Homeowners have some responsibility as well. If you got a big tree in your yard, there's a 75% chance that thing is hollow on the inside, and you just can't tell. People have to be a little more proactive and check these things out. Take a look around, Tom, when you're driving around.
No, you're right about that. You're right. Well, a lot of the trees that I've seen that are down are hollow on the inside, and you're absolutely right. Homeowners do need to take the necessary precautions to make sure that those trees, I mean, I love trees myself, but if you have a large tree in your yard, you need to make sure that tree is, the integrity is there, and that it's not hollow on the inside. It's not going to come down and take out part of your roof. You're absolutely right about that. But that still doesn't excuse all the problems with NIPSCO, but you're right. Homeowners need to learn from this storm that, hey, you know what? There are a lot of trees out there. They look nice, but they're hollow, and they need to be addressed. No doubt about it.
And one last point. The president of Haven House makes a lot of money. Adios.
All right. Thank you for the call. Again, that part is untrue. We've covered that repeatedly. She stated that she made a mistake when she spoke, and he doesn't want to give that one up, and that's unfortunate, because it's totally
also,
not true.
I have not even updated my Facebook since June 10th.
Yeah, no. Again, it's my computer.
Yeah, and also I'm looking at traffic, and with the traffic updates, it's not going to give it to us right away.
Right.
So
now,
it's on a delay. Now it comes up, but it's on a delay.
It didn't come up before, but he's right. There's a delay. There's a backup. Basically going westbound. It backs up from about Broadway to I-65, and going eastbound, The backup basically goes from Broadway all the way back now to US 41 to Indianapolis Boulevard. So be careful on 8094 this morning. I'm having to do this off my phone. So if you're watching me on YouTube Live and you're saying, Tom, you're squinting, it's because I'm looking at a very little map on my phone, but my computer still keeps on doing this updating stuff, which drives me nuts. 845-1100 is the number to call, and we've got additional callers, so let's go to the calls. Good morning, you're on the air.
You know, the trees are hollow in the middle because that's where the Tootsie Roll part is supposed to be.
Oh, is that what happened? So the Tootsie Roll basically has been eaten by squirrels or something, and that's why they're hollow. I mean,
yeah,
look,
that's why the trees lost their structural integrity and they fell down.
Yeah, no, he's got a good point though, Mad Mac. There are a lot of trees that people love, and you know they look beautiful, but you probably need to have an arborist come in and tap the tree to make sure that they've got the integrity to withstand a big storm. So that was a great suggestion. By the way, another update on traffic. The Bishop Ford is now backing up down to 130th, and it looks like it is a solid backup all the way now through the Ryan. So you may want to avoid that area. The Kennedy is in bad shape as well. So Lakeshore Drive is probably your best bet now down into the city from Northwest Indiana. And again, there is a backup on 8094 going eastbound. It begins at Indianapolis Boulevard all the way through to Broadway, where there's an accident going the other direction. There's a slowdown from Broadway to at least I-65. Go ahead, Mad Mac.
Hey, do you have power at your house? Because it looks like you grabbed your wife's shirt in the dark. You got that Johnny Weissmiller look going with them guns you got there, Tom.
The yellow shirt.
Yeah, well, yeah, looks a little tight on you.
No,
looks like you got a little big arm showing there, brother.
No, I mean, Adriana, is my shirt
looks
too
like
tight
you're dressing
today?
off for showing off for Sophie Cunningham. It looks like.
My dog.
Hey, Sophie, the beach is this way, kind of thing, you know.
Yeah, you know what, Sophie Cunningham. There are rumors that the Indiana Fever are going to get rid of her after this year. Somebody called in yesterday about that, and the rumors continue. But if the Indiana Fever has an ounce of brains, it's owned by the Simon family, who own all the malls in the United States. They're not getting rid of Sophie Cunningham. She and Caitlin Clark combined are 72% of all memorabilia sales now for the WNBA. I mean, if they get rid of her, why somebody else would grab her.
They got to fire. They got to fire the coach.
Oh, absolutely. She's horrible. She is just.
Boy, they should hire then Enos Kanter to be the coach. How would that be?
Well, I saw an interview with him, and I didn't really know that much about him, but I have to say I really like some of his views. I mean, he stood up for the slave labor basically in China over the Shoegate issue.
Yeah, he got blackballed by the NBA.
He sure did. I mean, he's outspoken on a lot of things, but he again, he's driving home the point. If you want to say that transgender men can play in the NBA, in the WNBA, then he'll declare himself transgender and he'll play. And at 6'10", a guy that could dunk like crazy, they wouldn't be able to stop him. He'd score 300 points in a game.
I would love to see it. It would be so funny. But hey, back to serious stuff. Where's a phone number we can call to whoever's on this board for the rate increase? And I know Jimmy Delo, he sat on that board, some kind of board for 17 years, said he was doing yeoman's work. He was saving NIPSCO. He was protecting the public. I think he was just there for the beef sandwiches.
Well, that might have been. I mean, it might have been picking up the beef sandwiches, but he says he's not eating meat anymore, so maybe that's why he quit. But he did say yesterday that after 17 years, he had enough of it and he quit. And he just felt that it wasn't going in the right direction and that the Citizen Advisory Board really didn't have the influence that he had hoped it would have. It
took him 17 years to figure it out, though, huh?
Well, again, you said the beef sandwiches, but the bottom line is that NIPSCO, again, they don't care. And while you're sitting there in Griffith without power, and you were out without power for almost 2 weeks, I think, right? Like 12 days?
11 and a half days. But I got to tell you, man, those folks up on Lily White Miller Beach, I mean, that's just like, what, day 15 or 16 now?
Yeah, and here's all these people.
That's
here's
insane.
all these people without power. And the whole time when Vince Parisi, their CEO, is on these airwaves and everywhere else saying, our only commitment right now, every hand is on deck. We're all working together to get power restored. The reality is, no, we're really working to get increases passed by the IURC. What a bunch of hypocrites. I mean,
that's kind of appalling. I got to tell you, because when I found that out, I think that Anthony guy on the chat board put that on there yesterday. I'm like, wait a minute, you got to be kidding me, right? During this debacle, I don't care if they sent the lowest paid janitor or someone to go there to argue for a rate increase. You got to be kidding. And if they get it, that's insane.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's crazy. And look, as I said before, Ron Matlock said he'll pay for a bus. And I said, I think this might be one occasion where, Ron Matlock and Mad Mech are sitting together to go to the rate increase hearings. I mean, he's right.
Not going to happen.
We've got to oppose the rate increase. So you'll oppose it, and he'll oppose it. I mean, this is one time where you guys are on the same page. And look,
hey, now did you hear the interview that Mayor Eddie Haskell of Gary did with WVON Radio 2 days ago?
I heard parts of it. And I'm disturbed by the fact
I heard the live tape where the radio host says, "So what do you think of NIPSCO? Do you think they're racist?" And he goes, "Absolutely." But then he goes on to virtually confess to say, I worked there for X number of years, and I knew the entire time I worked there they were being racist to Gary. We were never on the list. They treated us like second-class citizens and blah, blah, blah. He says, then I became a state senator or whatever the hell he was, and they still treated us the exact same way. And I'm thinking to myself, hey, Mayor Eddie Haskell, what did you do about it? Not a single thing. And now he's the mayor. His kids in his own neighborhood shoot the place up, and he's mad at NIPSCO. Well, and yet he sat there for 15 years combined and didn't do a single thing other than the same thing Mike Suggs did. Pick up paychecks.
Well,
and not contribute anything to the public good.
Well, here's a text message, okay? Senator Melton entered present at a roll call the moment the vote came to allow utilities to have endless requests for funds. Senator Melton, who was also a NIPSCO employee at the time, walked out. He had three choices, yes, no, or abstain. He chose to walk out on the people in Northwest Indiana. He's compromised and he needs to go. And there's some more information that I need to take a look at. But the bottom line is that he was a NIPSCO employee. So when he talks about racism, Mike Suggs, I'm sorry, Verley, but Mike Suggs.
Head of the DEI.
Yeah, he was their DEI consultant. Okay. And then they're saying NIPSCO's racist? Really? Because you guys were the ones who were out there telling us, basically you're the community reps.
How great they were.
Yeah, how great they were. They were the
NIPSCO's the cream of the crop. Look at this.
Yeah, community.
We got rid of 10 white guys and brought in 10 black guys. Did that help the situation?
Yeah.
What, are you kidding me? How about bringing qualified guys?
They were the community and governmental affairs people. So they're the ones reaching out to the community, reaching out to government, telling everybody what a great job they're doing. And again, as you said,
two make-believe jobs for two make-believe guys.
And then they turn around and say NIPSCO's racist. Okay, let's just say for a minute it is racist. If it's racist and these guys were there, well, that doesn't say much about their ability, does it? I mean, you basically, you guys were there telling us one thing, but there's another, so why should we ever believe NIPSCO again? I mean, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. It just seems to keep on piling on when it comes to NIPSCO. And then you've got these linesmen. Again, I want to thank Chuck Pullen for sending me the one the one message, and again, I can't pull up the other, but these linemen are now posting stuff and emailing people saying what they've seen is ridiculous. They have to go back and forth to the warehouse to get parts that normally would be carried on the truck, but NIPSCO basically said, nope, you have to come back and forth to the warehouse, waste a couple more hours a day to go get the basic parts that you need. Just insane. Hey, Mad Mac, we've got to take a break because North Township is coming up at 7:30.
All right, dude. Hey, and by the way, if you go to Kohl's today and get a 3X Garanimal polo shirt, I'll pitch in $5 for it. All right.
All right. This is a relatively new shirt. I don't think it shrank, but thanks for the fashion.
It's a men's medium, dude.
Yeah,
You're
okay.
a little
The fact
bigger
that
than
you're
that,
sitting there checking me out is kind of scary, but. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, it'll be the North Township Trustee Show, and at 8:00, John Doherty's coming in too. So we've got two guests coming up, 7:30 and 8:00, and then 8:30 we'll be back open to take all your calls. But we'll take calls in between. So we'll be right back. You're listening to the Morning Call, Day 2 on WJLB 1230 AM, 104.7 FM.
Need clean energy without the junk? I'm Jim Diedlow. I used to live on burgers, football, basketball, baseball. Now I'm gluten-free and more into biking, golf, and yoga. But I still need energy. That's why I love Paradise, developed by Emily D. Edwards right here in Cherville. My favorite is Paradise Packs Strawberry with gluten-free pretzels. Find it soon at Strachan Van Til or at spreadparadise.com.
Free summer music is still rocking at Fox Point.